I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizer of the conference for their work, taking advantage of which is the opportunity to present my work to your considerations. So, financial intermediation represents both an economic tools and a domain of economic activity with the primary objective of addressing the needs of the population. Evaluating the effectiveness of economic growth involves considering the dynamics of gross income and per capita income. However, a more comprehensive assessment is reflected in social efficiency, which is judged by the extent to which the population's needs are satisfied, viewed through the lens of overall societal welfare. The paramount importance of the population's well-being is emphasized as a crucial factor in ensuring a satisfactory quality of life for citizens. To study the general trends in the development of Western European countries, it's necessary to clarify the objects of analysis. Under Western Europe in this context should be understood as a group of European states united along political or cultural geographical ground. From this point of view, when we say Western Europe, we mean countries and territories that during the Cold War were in the zone of influence of the United States and were also the founders of the European community. The purpose of the study to determine the impact of the financial intermediation institutions on the well-being of the population in Western European countries. We propose exploring the chrono-discrete monogeographic comparative analysis methodology introduced by Demichev in 2019 in examining the dynamics of socio-economic processes. This adapted methodology for economic objects encompasses the utilization of various method approaches and theoretical concepts to analyze diverse economic phenomena occurring in the same geographic region, characterized by changes in economic formation over time. In our specific case, we are focused on the geopolitical shift that transpired in the economic foundation of Western European countries post-World War II, made by the rise of socialist tendencies and the integration of central planning elements in the government administration. The transformative period gave rise to a mixed economic model in Western European countries. In presented table, we examine the fluctuations of the primary gauge of the economic advancement, namely GDP. Employing statistical data, we conducted a comparative evaluation to juxtapose the standings of different nations. In general, the contribution of Western European countries for the period 1970 to 2022 decreased by 9%, and as of 2022, its amount to 16% of world GDP. Looking at the GDP growth from 1970 to 2022 at current price, it can be noted that it increased the most in Luxembourg 55 times, Iceland 52. The smallest increase was observed in France 18 and Italy 70 times. In the modern period from 2015 to 2021, all countries experienced GDP growth. Now, we will evaluate the dynamics of GDP per capita in constant 2015 US dollars. Over the 52 years, from 1970 to 2022, the indicator increased maximum in Luxembourg 203, Norway 198%. The minimum growth was in Italy 109 and France 121%. Systematized and standardized statistics for Western European countries have been available since 1980s. The growth of GDP in the countries under consideration was accompanied by an increase in the share of government borrowing in GDP. In general, for the period in all countries, the dynamics of public debt is unstable with a growing trend. Across the duration of the period, public debt experienced a rise in all the countries under consideration, under examination. The growth rate is strikingly different across countries. The growth was almost 40 times in Spain, in France 21 times. Public debt increased more than 10 times in UK. In other countries, the growth rate of public debt is much less, from 10 times in Luxembourg to 1 in Denmark. Looking at the volume of public debt as a share of GDP, significant changes can be noted in most countries between 1995 and 2021. In Belgium, Denmark, and Netherlands, the volume of public debt in the structure of GDP decreased by 23, 37, and 22% and amounted to 108, 36, and 52% of GDP. That is, despite the increase in debt in absolute values, its share in the GDP of some countries has decreased, which can be interpreted because of stronger GDP growth due to debt obligations, which in turn may be a consequence of the good work of the governments of these countries. In France, Italy, and Portugal, the share of public debt increased and significantly exceeded 100% of GDP at 113, 147, and 125%. In other countries, the share of public debt ranged from 25% in Luxembourg to 69% in Germany in the structure of GDP. The development of financial intermediation can be analyzed inter alia by examining the dynamics of account holders in financial institutions. In general, for the period from 2011 to 2021, the percentage of people holding account in financial institutions mostly remained stable. In the period under review, growth was observed in Italy from 71 to 97% and Portugal from 81 to 93%. Next, we will evaluate overdue debt, which shows the efficiency of lending. During the period from 2008 to 2021, the following change occurred. The share of overdue debt increased from 2008 to 2015 in Italy and Portugal, reaching 18 and 17% in 2015, followed by a decrease to 2008 level, and in Italy to 3%. During this period, there was an increase in overdue debt in Spain. In other countries, the share of overdue debt fluctuated in the 2% range and remained largely stable. Then we explore the primary indicators of the population well-being and perform a comparative analysis of key factors that delineate the well-being of the populace. An encompassing measure of human development, we use the Human Capital Index, which encompasses life expectancy, educational components, and health status. Considering the dynamics over 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, it can be noted that in 5 countries, there was a decrease in HCI: in Italy by 3, Luxembourg 2, Iceland and Germany 1, and Netherlands 0.9%. Strong growth was observed in Portugal, 3.5%. The indicator increased in Spain and in the UK, by 2%. In Belgium, the growth was 1, Denmark 0.85, and France 0.77%. A slight increase was observed in Norway. Positive dynamics of the index in all countries except for Iceland and Luxembourg was noted in 2017 compared to 2010. The maximum increase was in Spain 4.9 and Germany 4.5%. The minimum in Norway 0.06. In 2018 compared to 2017, negative dynamics were observed in 7 countries. And in 2020 compared to 2018, there were negative dynamics in 8 countries. The index decreased from 0.3 in Belgium to 3% in Italy. An increase in HCI was recorded only in France, Great Britain, Norway, and Iceland. Let us next consider the individual components of the welfare assessment by estimating the life expectancy at birth. Table analyzes dynamics over 60 years. Based on the results of 2021, the leaders in terms of life expectancy at birth are Spain, Norway, and Iceland, where the indicator varies around 83 years. Italy lags slightly behind the leading countries, and at the end of 2021, it is in 4th place with the indicator 82 and 18. During the period, there was an increase from 20%. Note that the largest increase in life expectancy was noted in Portugal, 27%, Luxembourg, and Spain, 21%. The smallest growth was observed in Netherlands, 11%. Considering the dynamics of economic development of Western European countries after the Second World War, one can be clearly note that the GDP increased significantly from 1970 to 2022, but their share in world GDP decreased due to the rapid industrial development of Asian countries. Public debt has also increased, in some cases exceeded 100% of GDP, which appears to be one of the consequences of the consumer economy and the stimulation of consumer demand by governments. Account ownership and credit bureau coverage indicators show the development of financial intermediation, but also highlight some risks and challenges. The human capital index and life expectancy at birth reflects the well-being of population, which varies across countries and over time. Based on the study results, it's evident that countries with high indicators in economic development and population well-being, such as Luxembourg, Iceland, and Norway, also exhibit a significant utilization of financial instruments. Conversely, the least advanced countries in terms of this indicator include Portugal, Spain, and Italy. However, participation in a unified socio-economic space has a positive impact on the overall quality of life in these countries, leading to increased life expectancy and stabilization of this indicator. The Human Development Index sheds light on these trends. Portugal, Spain, and the UK display the highest HDI indicators. Notably, Netherlands consistently maintained its leadership position with a score of 0.79. In contrast, Italy has experienced a 3% decline since 2010, while Spain rates has increased by approximately 3%. We can conclude that financial intermediation has both a positive and negative impact on the well-being of the population, depending on the level of development, regulation, and innovativeness of the financial sector. Also, we can suggest some direction for future research, such as conductive regression analysis, to establish the causal relationship between financial intermediation and well-being and compare the results of the region or the world. But unfortunately, it should be noted that due to paucity of data, the HDI available only for 3 years, it's necessary to carry out lengthy preparatory work to retrospectively obtain the above-mentioned data. Thank you.